How's it going, everybody? It is Wednesday. There's a 12-game slate, a massive 12-game slate on DraftKings tonight. We're going to take a first look at the NBA lineups that we have right here on DraftKings. We're going to try and put together our three top values for the day, which is going to be difficult based on how large this slate is, and then pick two studs to pair with them because I think that's the best way to start your lineups. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're new to the channel, please click that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. And let's see if we can get 300 likes on this video. We've been hovering between 275 and 250 likes on each one of these NBA videos. Let's see if we can get this up to 300 for the first time on one of these daily NBA videos. So before we do anything else, I have to explain to you guys that this is just kind of a first look. It is 9:30 in the morning, 12:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Pacific time. For me, this is a first look lineup. This is not where things are going to end. If you're playing daily fantasy NBA, it is imperative that you be at your workstation about 30 minutes for the entirety of the 30 minutes right before lock, because everything can change in NBA. Because injury reporting is not like it is in NFL. You don't get lineups ahead of time like you do in MLB. It's not like golf where you know who's playing and who's not, or NHL where you find the goalies out in the morning by who skates off at the first at the end of morning skate around and know who's pairing with who on the power plays and everything else. NBA, there's no rules in terms of injury reporting. They can tell you if they want. They cannot say a thing if they don't want to. And we've seen that happen in the past where players get scratched after lineups lock. And there's really nothing you can do about that. But in the case that some of this news breaks before lineups lock, if somebody new is starting, if a player is out for personal reasons or has a migraine or has back spasms or something where basically it's just a mental health day and they're taking the day off, you're going to see backup players jump in to new roles, right? That player comes off the floor. That means that other players pick up more usage. That player comes off the floor. Somebody has to fill that role. You have, 48 minutes to be played at point guard, 96 minutes to be played on the wing, and 96 minutes to be played in the post when you combine the power forward and center and shooting guard and small forward. So if you take a 35-minute player off the floor and you get a guy that's priced and plays 15 minutes, priced for a 15-minute player, and he jumps up all of a sudden to a 30-minute player, you're going to find yourself a player that's going to give you an awful lot of value for the dollar, a lot of bang for your buck, and probably be one of the most popular plays on the evening. And already today, the Spurs notoriously rest players on back-to-backs. We already have 5 Spurs that have been called out tonight. Danny Green, Justin Anderson with a shin splint, Tony Parker resting back-to-back, Kawhi Leonard wasn't going to play the back-to-back anyway, and Manu Ginobili. All out tonight for the Spurs. This just came down right before I clicked the start record button, which is going to give us probably about 8 Spurs that I think are in the rotation. You're going to have Aldridge, you're going to have Pau Gasol, Leonard out, Kyle Anderson going to see an increased role. These guys are all priced somewhat appropriately, although LaMarcus Aldridge should get bumped up. Pardon me. Especially if Embiid is out, Philly becomes a much worse defensive team, and I believe he is going to sit tonight. Patty Mills becomes a good value. DeJounte Murray becomes a good value tonight. Rudy Gay already out. Bryn Forbes might be a thing. Burton's might be a thing. All these guys have to play 25 plus minutes tonight. They've been priced up a little bit. Notice that none of them are below 4K. So you're going to have no situation where all these guys are 3K and there's absolutely no risk. There's going to be a little bit of risk. I suggest at this point of the day, until lineups come down later, if we find out who's starting, and we should, as this is one of the games that tips off right as lineups lock. This isn't a late West Coast game. They're playing in Philly. So we're going to get we should get from the beat writers the lineups before things come out, know who's starting at point guard, know who's going to get the most minutes. Expect 25 minutes from all these guys. Some of them are going to play 30 to 35, some 35 to 40. If that happens, as always, minutes equals money. One of the best value plays that I see on the board is DeJounte Murray, 4,700. As of right now, I want to attack Philly with point guards. I want to do it with a guy that should play 35 minutes, who is a good scorer. He's priced as somebody who plays 18 minutes. He's averaged 12 and a half minutes a game. His price has come up, right? He's usually down here. They knew it was a back-to-back. They did price up most of these guys, expecting them to sit for the Spurs. So the priced up spot, interesting. He's expected to start a point guard. That was from last month. That's old news. We'll find out who starts for them tonight. Good rebounding guard. Good scoring guard as well, and sees an uptick with the amount of minutes that he should play. I'm expecting 30-plus minutes, possibly 35 minutes for DeJounte Murray. Good value at 4,700. couple of the other players, and like I said, I'm gonna wait on the Spurs to see who else is starting. I like Anderson if Aldridge is playing. This is the interesting thing with Aldridge. He should be somebody that we should lock in tonight because with nobody else there, the amount of usage that he's going to get should be tremendous. However, you have to have a minimum amount of players active on a roster by NBA rules. Aldridge last night played 37 minutes in New York. This is a back-to-back with travel, small travel. Philly's pretty close to New York. It's not like they went across country or anything. Scored 29 points last night. Who's to say that he's active, but he's just active? What if he's a DNP coach's decision? What if he only plays 20 minutes? That would be considered what we used to call getting popped, right? Where a player's active, but he's really not active. He's resting. They're just going to run him out there because they have to run him out there just a little bit. He might start. He might only play a few rotations. If he plays a full rotation, if it looks like there's going to be no minutes restriction on him, LaMarcus Aldridge is an absolute smash. As we sit right now in the morning, I don't know that that's the case. So I'm going to wait and see. I'm in a holding pattern. I like a lot of Spurs tonight. Probably going to have multiples in my lineup. For the first look, let's just go with one of them. And right now, for me, that's going to be DeJounte Murray. If Patty Mills is starting, it'll probably be Patty Mills. I'm expecting Murray to start over him, and he's the Spur that I want most this evening. Looking at a couple of other positions that we're looking at for value tonight, I think we can find value on Utah and Denver and Dallas. One of the most easy spots for me is going to be J.J. Barea. And there's a lot of value tonight. And there's, like I said, on a 12-game slate, there's no reason that you should not find an alternate path for tournaments, right? Very easy to do so. If you think that one guy is going to be 50% owned, but this other value is going to be 10% or 15% owned, it makes a lot of sense leverage-wise to go with the lower-owned guy in tournaments. Bets Poker, thank you for the 109 taking over the top bit donation on the stream. And Shauf, I believe, thank you for the new sub. Appreciate you. Missed that one earlier in the intro. J.J. Barea playing mid-20s minutes, right? Asked to score. And his assist totals have gone way up recently. Sitting at 39 fantasy points, 33 fantasy points the last two games. If he is still going to be running the point, still playing mid-20s minutes, I think he's valuable tonight. Don't know that we have to go with him in the final with all the Spurs that are going to be on the board. But in terms of just finding a quick shooting guard to use, J.J. Barea works for me. Looking for a cheap value. Jay Morrisman, thank you very much for the 2 months. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thabo Sefolosha at 3,900. Now you're going to look at me and you're going to say, Smiz, Thabo Sefolosha? Yeah, Thabo Sefolosha. On the season, averaging 21.3 minutes per game. Last 3 games, 26 minutes per game. On the season, 18 fantasy points per game. Last 3 games, 24 fantasy points per game. Let's look a little bit deeper. Those 3 games include this 16-minute performance, which is kind of on par with his season output. Last 2 games, 31 and 33 minutes, absolutely smashed value. At 3,900, we want 22 to 25 fantasy points. If he is going to play 30-plus minutes, and right now I've got him just at around 30 on my projections, you know, I think that 28 to 32 is a fair range to put him in, and if he plays in that range, based on the injuries that Utah has right now, pretty easy to slide him in at 3,900. Like I said, with all the value out there today, there's a lot of different routes you can go. I like these 3 values. A couple of them can score. Murray and Barea, good scores. Sefolosha, strictly a minutes play. Uptick for him, and somebody that I really want to invest in at a very cheap price because of the 2 studs that I want. Now, getting to the stud first of all, James Harden, you see this big red O next to his name? He's out. You know what happens when he's out? Chris Paul becomes pretty much a must-play. Point guard, shooting guard eligibility. If you want to slide him into your shooting guard spot instead of J.J. Barea and go with a value in the front court, you can definitely do that, and probably is going to be a very popular route that people go with the Spurs values this evening once we find out who's starting in the front court. Chris Paul averaging 1.8 DraftKings points per minute. When James Harden is off the floor, I think that's in like 180 minutes overall. 187 minutes, he's averaging 1.8 DraftKings points on 31.7% usage. Basically, point guards in D'Antoni's system. He should play a good complement of minutes, should have the ball in his hands a lot of the time. Against the Lakers, played 42 minutes. This is before New Year's, 52.5 fantasy points. At 9.6K, I expect him to be the highest owned player on the slate. Now, going for the stud players, Westbrook is sitting at 11.7, Harden 11.5 off the slate. LeBron James on a back-to-back against Boston, hotly contested game, 11.3. Giannis at 10.6, I think is very palatable. DeMarcus Cousins, you have this big old 8 in the opponent's rank here for Utah, but without Rudy Gobert on the inside, they're not the same. And Cousins has been absolutely spectacular. There's a couple of ways that we can go here. One, we can get the late night hammer, right? Oklahoma City playing the Lakers is the latest game. You'll always have PMR and you'll always have hope if you play him. We'll end up with 5K remaining per player. With all the value out there, I think it's a fine way to go. You're going to have front court value with the Spurs. You're going to have other front court values out there, guys like Trey Lyles, who I think is in play tonight as well. And there's some other plays on tap for Denver, for Phoenix. Marquise Chris coming off of a 33-minute game. Don't expect 33 minutes again from him. If he does, he'll absolutely smash value at his price point. I usually expect about 20 to 25 minutes out of him. Most of it is because of his foul trouble. He's been able to keep his hands off of people recently. He still had 4, 6, and 4 fouls in 3 of his last 4 games, so it's not like he's completely learned. But if he can stay on the floor, more than a fantasy point a minute from him, if he plays 30 minutes a game, absolutely like his play tonight. But this is the 5 that I'm going to roll with. Devontae Murray, JJ Barea, TJ Cephalosha, Chris Paul, and Russ Westbrook. That's my 5, 2 studs, 3 value plays. And like I said, most importantly, find out who the Spurs are starting. Make your decisions thusly, because that is where the best value lies for tonight's slate. Thank you for joining me. Click that like button before you guys get out of here. And if you don't already, click subscribe. We'll catch up to you later. Bye, everybody.